when you know your core values and your vision, back to what you were saying, that decisions become easy, and it creates boundaries. And so even for myself, when I get asked to do something, or I'm thinking about doing something, that becomes the benchmark. Does this get me closer to the vision? Does this get me closer to my goals?
Yes.
Does this align with my values? And if not, it's gonna be a no.
I
All right,
love
a
it.
confident no,
A
because you know
confident
that it's
no.
not.
Okay.
Hello, welcome to the Bold Black Girls Podcast. I'm Aries.
And I'm Kim.
Welcome back. We are here for our second week of the year. How'd you make it? How you making it this week?
Second week of the year. Wait.
I mean, not second week of the year.
Second episode of the season.
Yeah.
I am making it. Year is off to a somewhat good start. Not bad.
Okay.
Still trying to finalize my word and my vision board.
Don't pressure yourself.
Oh,
to
I'm not.
finalize. There has been times
True.
where my word didn't come till later,
Right?
like in the year. 2019, when I wasn't working, it was abide, and it came like in July, like August, or
midway of the year,
because that was the pattern. It's like the word is there. It's like he's taking you through the steps
to reveal it,
and you're just kind of like, oh, that's what we're doing. It's gonna be, you might get it ahead of time and see the pattern going forward, or you get it while you're in the process and then realize like that's been the word all year. That's kind of been consistent,
right?
Like how we were talking about alignment. In
and it was just like
it made sense, right?
It made so much sense. It still makes sense, and for me, like I carry those words. I continue to carry those words with me.
Yes.
So that's pretty much what's been going on with me. What about you?
Yeah, man. This week, I don't know. I was in an interesting mental space.
Tell me about it.
Had my therapy session this week, and oh my gosh, she helped me. We'll probably talk about that on another episode, because she helped me go through some, like, I needed
to work through
help.
something.
Yeah, because I was having like this familiar feeling that I needed to work through. And so she really walked me through stuff. And I was like, girl, you don't know what you just did. You done changed my life.
I love it.
So I needed that. I really did. And so that's why I'm like, if you need some therapy, like you got to just tackle these things. If I'm saying a core value of mine, is that I want to develop and get wisdom and, all these different things, I got to do the work. Like it's work, and it's not easy.
It's one thing to say it, but it's another to act on it. And I think that sometimes where we get stuck, because I'm in therapy too. I had my session, it was good. And then my job had one.
Like group therapy?
It was group therapy
Ooh.
for Black employees, especially is what we're dealing with in terms of the insurrection that kind of happened, that occurred.
We didn't even get to talk about that last week.
We didn't.
But yeah.
So just kind of like holding space for us in that aspect. And I actually expressed that one of my concerns is actually just trying to stay focused with everything that's kind of going on, and even leading up to Inauguration Day, like what's going to happen. And just, it was good.
They closed all the capitals leading up to the inauguration. I got my
my shirt
yes,
from Mess in a Bottle.
The first Black woman vice president of the United States of America, and you see,
I love
Kamala Harris. So I thought that was, it was good for me to wear that today to kind of
perfect.
Just today, that the day that this is airing is actually the day of the
Yes.
inauguration. So y'all know more about what's happening in the world today than we do right now. Just praying for everybody to just be safe and no issues and nothing crazy happening, because that other foolishness was just, they said them people were planning to assassinate people, and they had them gallows and stuff up and zip ties, and they was, I mean, come, like, y'all stop. Okay, we gotta stop. It's getting ridiculous. So anyway, super excited. What other, so this week our president, I think it was on Thursday.
Yep.
She let us know that that we had Monday off. So
Yay.
she's like, we're gonna make
doing that.
She said that she's like, better late than never, but like we're gonna make that a North American holiday, and everybody get the day off. So if you got meetings, cancel them. I was like, I'll take it.
You know, I'm loving this because we've both been in corporate America for 20 years. When I first started, it was a holiday, right? Not at the current company that I'm at, but then I can recall them taking it away. And I'm like, why would you take that away? And a lot of companies have done that.
Yeah.
And now it's reversing because of the George Floyd.
They had added it as like a floating holiday.
Yeah.
You could use the floating
Correct.
holiday if you want to take the day off. If not, everything else is still going. I used to just take it off.
Always.
Yep. So I was like, thank you. Because she said, if you have it as a PTO, just you'll get that time back. So
I love it.
Give me my time back. I need all my PTO.
Yes.
And
what are you planning to do on Martin Luther King?
Absolutely nothing.
Pay homage to my ancestors.
I did want to share, though, for those who don't know, we're now on our podcast. If you've been listening to the podcast for a long time or since the beginning, we used to have a Martin Luther King audio in the beginning of the episode. So we took that out and we actually start explaining kind of what the BOLD stands for. But BOLD in Bold Black Girls was actually inspired by one of his speeches where he was talking about, at the time it was a lot of riots and protests and all these things going on, and they were burn, baby, burn was the slogan, and he said his slogan is not burn, baby, burn. It's build, baby, build, organize, baby, organize, learn, baby, learn, so you can earn, baby, earn. So when that is kind of what triggered the building, organizing, learning. Yeah. And then we added development. Because bold, that didn't seem like that would go right.
No.
BOLE.
Yeah.
But anyway,
we're always on a journey to develop.
So he just had a birthday. So I was excited to have that I said, I'm gonna rest, and my boys are usually with their dad on Monday. They usually come home like Monday evening after he gets off work. So I got the whole day to myself.
Nice.
Come on, somebody. So that's why I was like, absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Same.
So just want to, fun fact about the Bold Black Girls podcast, like how we got inspired about.
Love it.
Well, so anywho,
so we have MLK inauguration, first Black female president,
vice president,
right?
Sorry. Yes.
She was recently on the cover of Vogue.
Yeah,
and there was some
controversy. Huh?
Yeah, very interesting. Some said, her choice of wardrobe or the choice of wardrobe, they didn't like it, and I just think that's who she is.
Why they worry about her wardrobe?
Right, I'm like, that's who she is, number one, and I don't think she's necessarily worried about her clothes right now. She's worried about making the world better.
She's not a fashion model. She's not trying to come out in this, gown, glam, and all that kind of stuff. Like, she out here to take care of business. Don't worry about that. And most of it, I think they were mad because Melania, is her name Melania?
Mm-hmm.
I forgot the lady name. Melania had never been on. And they were like, she never been on. We're like, well, that's, hey, unfortunate. Some favor ain't fair. But yeah,
sure
so
isn't.
I'm like, don't hate now. Come on. Somebody else became a vice president.
Sure did. And she's sitting right next to me. Madam VP Aries Webb Williams is the vice president of DFW-ATW, Alliance in Technology and Women. I'm very proud of you. You all had your first meeting this past Thursday for networking. That was my first time networking this year.
I know. I was I was surprised to see you up in there. I said, look at Kim coming in.
And then you had me scared because you turn your video off. And I was like, oh my gosh, because I didn't
say turn your video off.
Well, it was something.
It was a miscommunication.
It was definitely a miscommunication. So I'm walking around the house
thinking that she got her camera off. She's like, I'm naked.
folding clothes.
That is so hilarious.
And I literally like logged off like, oh my gosh, she can see me.
So I was the programs director for DFW, Alliance of Technology and Women, for 3 years. And I was like, whoa, this is it. I'm done. You know, my term is over. So, but our new president, she asked me to be her VP when she decided she was going to run. And I was like, wait, what? Hold on, let me pray about it, girl. Cause I was thinking, I was like, my mind was saying I was exiting. But it's been great. I think it's going to be good. We have a lot of new board members and a lot of new ideas and just, you know, so it's a 2-year term. That's another motivator. I was like, okay, 2 years, I could do 2 years.
Right.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to like serving the group and really, you know, seeing what we could do to improve.
And you're the first Black.
I am.
So look at you. You need a shirt.
I know, that's why I wore this today. I'm like, see, that's awesome. So yes, first Black. Yeah, that is so true. I guess I never even really thought about it. Yeah. So anywho, so yes, we got a good little show for you today. We are going to be talking about, we were talking about our word of the year and all that stuff. And I haven't planned my vision board or none of that yet. I need to designate maybe Monday I'll just kind of sit and let God talk to me, you know, about what I need to be doing. I'm setting some goals and things like that, but I just haven't like visually put them anywhere. So today we have L'areal Lipkins, and she is going to be talking to us about going beyond the board and how to properly set goals and vision without just cutting out a bunch of stuff and putting it on a cardboard thing and sticking it there, right?
To actually have them come to fruition, right?
Yes.
Not just saying, oh, this is cutting out some pictures.
Exactly.
It's really like being intentional about executing.
Yes. So without further ado, we're just going to hop on into it because we don't want to waste your time. Yes. Hopefully you will enjoy it. I think you will. All right, everybody. We are here with L'areal Lipkins. Okay, so let me tell you about who L'areal is. She is a success strategist, entrepreneur, and author who left a job making multiple 6 figures to help other women pursue and achieve their biggest dreams. Prior to starting her own company, L'areal spent nearly a decade training Fortune 500 companies as an executive for the latest sales training company in the largest sales training company in the world. L'areal joined the firm in 2009 as a marketing intern, and in 2012, she became one of the youngest certified sales trainers across 250 locations worldwide. So, it was during this time that L'areal became obsessed with figuring out why some people were successful while others struggled just to get by. In 2012, L'areal was promoted to managing partner and was on track to purchase the local franchise before resigning in 2018. Okay, purchasing the franchise.
Right. Come on, Black Girl Magic.
Okay. In April 2019, L'areal released her first book, A Woman with Vision, How to Fulfill the Goals and Dreams God Has Given You. The book took her just 21 okay, we need to talk because she said it took her 21 days to write and gives you the secrets she's learned after coaching hundreds of people on how to accomplish their goals. Born and raised in Dallas, L'areal recently relocated to the greater Houston area with her husband and 2-year-old son. Family was actually a key factor in L'areal's decision to leave corporate America. As a millennial mom, L'areal was looking for more flexibility and the freedom to build a business that aligned with her passion, strengths, and core values. A magna cum laude graduate of the University of North Texas, L'areal earned a degree in marketing and received an MBA from the University of Texas at Dallas, my alum. Hey. L'areal is a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated and volunteers with other nonprofits, including Bless a Belly and Class Incorporated. You got to tell us about that. Sorry about that.
Yes. Welcome to the podcast. So Bold Black Girls are very excited to have you here. This is the beginning of a new year, and we know our Bold Black tribe listeners are out there. Aries and I are actually working on our vision board. So we
I
are
haven't
excited to have
actually
you.
started. That's why I'm so glad to have her. I was like, no, we need to talk.
Perfect
It's like,
timing.
yeah. Yeah. So we're super happy to have you. We met through mutual connections, and she was our mutual friend. She was just like, you need to meet her. You know, she's a bold Black girl. You need to meet her. So once we got to talking to you and learning, like, oh wow, like this is so on time because everybody right now is working on those vision boards. We've been seeing all the vision board parties and all this, and so we know you have this class called Beyond the Board, and then you also have the book, A Woman with Vision. So it's like, okay, now that we're trying to figure our life out in 2021,
Right.
how can we, get started? So first, tell us kind of why this had become a passion for you. Like, how did you get started, like, with this? Was it because of the sales background and learning how to set goals and stuff like that, or where'd that come from?
So funny thing is when I started back in my corporate job, one of the first things that you did in terms of onboarding was create a vision board. And so I did what a lot of people do, and I went, bought a poster board, cut out some pictures, glued it, crossed my fingers and hoped that 12 months later, my life was going to look completely different.
Right.
It did
Exactly.
not, right? And so not only did we do that internally, but every year we did a vision board class with our clients. And it kind of hit me after a few years when we would tell them like, hey, on this date, we're going to do a vision board workshop. And there was a general response. Oh yeah, where is my vision board? Or, oh yeah, I could basically reuse the same one I used this year because I didn't get anything done. And secretly I was like, me either. Right? And so after a few years, I was thinking, if vision boards are supposed to be so effective, if they're supposed to be able to help you hit your goals, then why are so many people struggling with actually manifesting the things that are on their board? And so that's when I literally became obsessed with how do you make a vision board effective? How do you go from creating a vision board to making the things on your vision board a reality? And so that's how I kind of got into this, was through my own personal experience of cutting out pictures and nothing happening, but then also seeing dozens and dozens of clients going through the same thing.
Awesome. Okay, so I heard two things there. And so Aries and I are kind of working on what we want for the podcast, right? And we talked about vision, mission, goals. In what you just said, you said you have vision and goals. Can you tell us the difference as it relates to the vision board and how that kind of relates together between vision and goals?
Yes, I find that there's two types of people. There's people who have vision and no goals. And those are people who have like kind of pie in the sky stuff, right? So I want to have a 7-figure business. I want to have a loving relationship. And by the way, it's not that those things are bad,
Right.
but those are vision. Those are things that tend to be long term. They're intangible. It's hard to kind of put your finger on it. Whereas goals are how do you actually make that happen? And so I was that person. I was the person that, well, actually, I was the flip. I was the person who had goals but no vision, right? So the first person is vision with no goals. So y'all kind of pie in the sky, but you don't have a way to actually make that happen. So every year you're talking about the same stuff over and over and over again, about all the stuff you want to do, but you never actually do, right? The other side are people who are like me, who have a bunch of goals, but then didn't have vision. And I didn't realize that there was even a difference until about 2013. I was at this place in my life where professionally I was achieving a whole lot of goals, right? I was very successful. I was climbing the corporate ladder. I had the house, the car, the husband, well, all that stuff.
Right.
But I felt miserable inside. But I couldn't tell anybody because they would be like, hold on.
Like, how you got the nerve to be miserable?
Exactly. Right.
You
So
had
outside
everything.
looking in is check, 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 check.
Right.
So I was actually walking my dog one day and I was praying, and maybe I didn't even realize I was praying, but God said something that was very clear to me. And he said, the problem is that you have goals and you don't have a vision. And I was like, hold up. First of all,
where the vision of people perish.
Right? I'm just trying to walk the dog. But number two, it was so clear, right? And I from that moment, I realized I had been checking the box. I had been doing all the things that they said you needed to have or do to be successful, but I didn't have a clear vision for my life. I didn't know why I was doing those things. And so that's really the difference. If you want to be in alignment, you not only need vision, but you need goals. And you can't just have goals where you're checking stuff off and not have vision, because you will always be unfulfilled. Or you may end up realizing, like I did, that you are busy chasing other people's goals that do not align with the vision that you have not defined for yourself. And you may get to a point where you have all this stuff and you're still not going to be fulfilled because you don't have that bigger vision for your life.
Wow. Yes, girl.
They need both.
Cause see, you'll go to the parties, right? I mean, I've done this for years, you know. And I think 2018, that January was the first year that I wasn't like, I'm cutting every single picture out and I'm gonna, you know, I had actually done a little pre-work ahead of time to really, because I had done all that where you just like put a bunch of pictures all over the thing. And my OBGYN actually, she had a vision board party and invited me. And we had this lady that came, she helped us kind of get into like a meditative state almost and just really think through like what you envision for yourself and like all these different things. And so when I ended up with my board at the end of the thing, I still have it. It was not like all filled up and everything. And I almost felt like self-conscious about it because I'm like, it's supposed to have like all this stuff on it. But I was like, this section, that section, this section, like I had it all sectioned out. What do you find like are some common mistakes like people make as they start approaching doing an actual vision board? Like what are some of the initial mistakes you see?
Well, the first thing is that there's a lot of people who have a vision board but no vision. So you need to get crystal clear about what it is that you want before you start cutting out pictures, just like you said, right? And so a lot of times people are so anxious to start cutting out pictures that they haven't got crystal clear about what it is that they actually want. So I think that is number one. Another thing kind of loops into that. I find a lot of people when they're creating their vision boards, they're creating it for aesthetics. Like I want it to look cute in my office. I need these stickers and these quotes and these ribbons. And it's like, you don't need, none of that is going to help you manifest your goals. Right. And so it should not be a DIY project. This is not an arts and crafts project. This really should be a roadmap. The second thing that I do is I tell my clients to divide their boards in quadrants as well, but I do it based on the quarter. And so the reason that we do this is that they're able to see all of their goals for the year, but they only have to focus on one quadrant at a time. And that changes the game because a lot of people, I had someone told me, she was like, I spoke at a conference last year. She's like, well, I did a vision board for the first time last year and it just gave me anxiety. She said, every time I saw it, I just felt so overwhelmed. And I get it because a lot of people's stuff is just like cluttered. But by having that in quadrants, so you have Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, I see everything that I want to get done for the year, but I only have to focus on one piece at a time. And the other thing about that is that it helps to make sure that your stuff is balanced. Because what you'll find is oftentimes Q1 and Q2 are jam-packed, and then Q3 and Q4 are a little empty.
You'd be like, what I'm gonna do? Let me see. What else I'm gonna do?
But oftentimes that's because people are unrealistic. They're hyped on the new year, so they're like, I'm gonna do 6 things in Q1. No, you're not. How about let's pick the top 3 things that you're really committed to making happen, and let's start shifting things. So it helps to make sure, one, that it's not only organized, but it helps to make sure that you're in alignment with what it is that you say you really want.
Alignment. That's our favorite word.
Alignment, yes. And then the other one, and there's a lot of mistakes I see, but I'll just give you one more, is that they don't tend to have a plan on what you're going to do afterwards. So you got the board, great. But what's the plan afterwards? How are you going to actually make that stuff happen? I think people put their boards on their window or on their wall or in the back of their car or wherever it was, and they forget about it. And just like you said at the beginning of the year, everybody's talking about goal setting. Everybody's talking about vision boards. Come February, people forget. Right?
Yeah, they really do.
And so we treat it like a exercise. It's an event versus it really needs to be a lifestyle. So how are you going to take it from vision boards to reality?
That's because it's like you're going from, and kind of what you were saying with the vision and the goals, you're looking at, okay, I'm building a strategy and now I need some like tactics, right?
Correct.
Like how am I going to execute this in a real practical way, in real life, right?
Correct. It's like what is the plan to get from point A to point B? And that's not what a lot of people think about. And the other thing, I'll just give you one more bonus, is that people don't think about the mindset that they need to have to achieve their goals. Now, this is like 90% of the reason that people don't achieve their goals isn't because they're not capable, qualified. None of that is because they are trying to achieve a new goal with the old mindset, and that just will not work. And so I teach my clients all the time is let's get clear about what it is that you want. And then we need to think about who must you become to make that happen.
Ooh, who you must become.
I know. So let's dig deeper into that. So I'm with you in terms of the goals quarterly because I started to feel overwhelmed. So I started writing out my goals quarterly. And I think we kind of did this Aries and I did a little exercise where it was like, what's your happy list? We read Valerie Burton's Happy Women Live Better.
Okay.
And it was like, write down what you're anticipating. And I think we broke it out into quarters.
We put it by date, so it was like so that we have something to look forward to. Right?
Exactly.
So it wasn't necessarily like it wasn't a vision board thing, but it was really something saying like this is going to help us with having a positive mindset about things. So we would put little things on that. It might be like, I'm looking forward to having coffee with my friend next week, right? You know, or
we're looking
going
forward
on
to
a
going
vacation.
to Jamaica, right? Yeah. So tell us, if someone, especially with everything that's kind of going on, the distractions, social media, how can they get in the mindset? Because I just feel like there's a lot of distractions and clouds.
That's where I'm at right now. I'm struggling to even get my mind to say what to just start. I'm like, we're thinking about the inauguration. We're thinking about, you know, just
and the pre-work to do it, because like you said, just cutting the pictures, it's like, I think before you cut those pictures, you need, like you said, get that mindset and then write it down and then kind of put the pictures together. So I want your feedback.
Yeah, so part of it is easy to get distracted by everything that's going on. But when I look back at 2020, I know a lot of people were like, oh my gosh, it was the most horrible thing ever. But then I think if you look at it and you say, what was the difference between people who won in 2020? The people who won in 2020 weren't people who just set goals. They were people who had vision. And here's why. Vision is about being able to see beyond what is going on. Wow. So if you were just, so a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna just kind of wait to see. A lot of those people are people who are just gonna set goals. And there's nothing wrong with that. But vision is, I see 3 to 5 years from now. So I know this is just a time period, but I'm seeing beyond this and I'm still going to do the work to make it happen. So that's number one. The other thing I think is that you also have to know when to cut the TV off. So I always tell my clients, be informed, but then you also need to protect your boundaries, because taking in a lot of that stuff is going to work against your mindset. It's going to sabotage your mindset. So even for myself, like, I have a limit on how much I'm going to watch. I'm informed, but I'm not going to let it kind of inundate my mind, my space, and my mindset. Now, when it comes to mindset, this is one where it can get kind of like fluffy, because a lot of times when people talk about mindset, what they're really talking about is like positive thinking or affirmations. But when you look at what mindset really is, it's your convictions, it's your beliefs, and it's like how you see yourself and what you think you're deserving of. And so a lot of times when people they're talking about their mindset, they're not really talking about mindset. What they're really talking about is like positive thinking and affirmations. And so one of the things that I do personally is I keep a mindset journal. And so every day at around noon, I write down, like, what am I thinking right now? How am I feeling? When I set my goals, I write, okay, here's my goal. What are the beliefs that I'm going to need to have to make that happen? And then what are the behaviors that I'm going to need to make that happen? So here's the thing that I want y'all to keep in mind, especially when it comes to mindset, is that you know that your mindset has changed when your actions change. Right now, this is key, because we've all been on a podcast or Clubhouse, like we were talking about Clubhouse before, right? And they'd be like, oh girl, like I was in this room and it changed my mindset. Your mindset only changed if your actions change. Otherwise, you were just inspired, you were motivated, but you did not have a mindset shift. Your action has to change when your actions will change when your mindset actually changes. And so I'm very protective of my space. I'm always thinking about, okay, here's the goal. What's the beliefs I need to have? What are the beliefs I need to let go and unlearn? Like, which beliefs no longer serve me? And then what does my behavior look like that actually aligns with the mindset I said that I'm going to have?
Girl, you are
most
preaching.
people don't go that far, right? Most people are just gonna like look in the mirror, say their affirmations, and keep it moving. And a lot of times the action does not even align with the affirmation they just said.
Wow. And that kind of ties into like core values, right? It's like, that's how I look at that, right? I'm like, okay, I could say, oh, this is a core value of mine, but you don't, if I look at you, it doesn't look like it. You be like, cleanliness is a part of my core value. And then when I look at your car, your house is dirty. You're nasty. So I'm just saying, you know, it's so true, right? So I believe everything you're saying. I'm the same way. And so like, even with this, me not actually making a vision board yet, like I keep a running kind of manifestation list in my phone, like where I know these are things. I still got goals. I still am writing out my goals and things that I know I got to get I want to get done, because
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely not one of those people who have negative things to say about 2020, because I do
Yeah.
feel like a lot of things positive came out of that, that time
Same.
frame. So it is a mindset, right? It's
It-
how
it
you look
truly
at it. It's
is.
perspective, and all that. What are some things that you do with your clients to work with them on mindset? Are you asking them kind of like, well, what is it that what is it, your vision, and then let's see what we got to do to get there, or what's some of the activities you might put them through?
Yeah, and just real quick, because I know there's probably going to be people on here that like, okay, they're not like us, where they're not thinking like 2020 was like actually good.
Right.
So I created this sheet because someone was asking like, how did you shift your thinking about 2020?
Right.
And it's on my website. It's called awomanwithvision.com/2020 review. And
Okay.
it's free. It's free, but it has you answer 12 questions about 2020 to kind of help shift your mindset, because what you don't want to have happen is carry all those negative self-limiting beliefs over into 2021. As even though life is going to change and progress, you're going to carry that same stuff over, and
Right.
it's going to sabotage all your goals for 2021. So that's free. Now, in terms of what I do with my clients, it's kind of two different levels. So in my program, I have a program called Beyond the Board, and
Mhm.
in that program, when they're setting their goals, there is a way for them to map out what we call power beliefs. I don't teach affirmations. I teach a concept called power beliefs, where we write out, okay, what is the mindset that you need to have, and what are the beliefs and behaviors you need to have to align with your goals.
Mhm.
I also teach a 4-step process in how to shift your mindset, because one of the things that was very frustrating to me, and I'm sure it's probably frustrating to your listeners, is a lot of people know that their mindset is the problem, but they don't know how to like change it. And if you
Right.
ask someone like, how Kim, how do I change my mindset? They'll be like, oh, well,
Right.
just think positive.
Right.
Just change it.
No,
Just
it's
be
not that simple.
confident. Yeah. Okay. How do you want me to just be confident? Right?
Listen to
Right.
some motivational speakers,
Yeah,
and
listen to the podcast, girl. And we both know that motivation is going to last about 30 minutes and then it's going to leave. And so I teach a 4-step process. It's also in my book, but I'll walk through it briefly. The first thing is that you have to learn how to recognize what those self-limiting beliefs are.
Mhm.
So there's a statistic that says we think between 55 and 75,000 thoughts every single day. So everything that you do is triggered by a belief. 90% of those thoughts are subconscious, like we're not even aware of it, so we're really operating on autopilot. And then 80 to 85% of those thoughts are negatively predispositioned. So if you take all of those
That's
three
scary.
statistics,
It
yes,
is.
that means that we are prone to self-sabotage. And so if you are not very conscious about the thoughts that you're thinking, there's no wonder why you have these goals and you're not able to get to them. Right. So the first
Exactly.
one is that you need to recognize. The second one is that you need to replace it, and you need to replace it with something that actually aligns with what it is that you want. And I'll give y'all an example in just a second. The third is that then you need to rehearse it and say it out loud.
Mhm.
Number 4 is that then you need to reinforce it with action. So can I give y'all like a real world story where I went through
Yes.
these?
Yes.
Yes.
So I was speaking at a conference. This is probably 4 or 5 years ago. And I'm speaking at this conference. Client called me at 11th hour. Speaker canceled. They wanted me to be a speaker. I said, cool. We shifted some things around. So I show up the day of. Now they told me I was going to be the second speaker right before lunch. Perfect. So I opened the door, and then I'm like petrified once I get there, because the speaker is like an international best-selling author, international sales speaker, has a huge team, well known. He has his presentation, a big team. And here I am, like my pants was too big. I had like a raggedy little flip chart, and I slid in the back, and I was terrified because I'm like, how in the world am I going to go behind him?
Right.
Like, they are giving him a standing ovation. They're laughing. They're engaged. So I go to the bathroom, and by this time I'm like sweating under my blazer, and I'm pacing around in the stall. And I'm like, okay, L'Areal, you have got to get it together. These people done paid you. You got to show up. Yeah, more importantly, right?
Right.
And so I said, hold on. I said, hold up. So if he's going first, that means he is my opening act.
I love it.
He my headliner.
Right?
He headlining.
Right? He's my opening act. I'm the star of the show. I'm the keynote. I'm the headline. He is warming up the audience for me.
For
Now,
you.
traditionally, what people would say is just L'Areal, just say an affirmation. You are strong, brave, and courageous. No. That was not going to work because I was not feeling strong. I was not feeling brave, nor was I feeling courageous. And so I think a lot of times the affirmations, why they don't work, is they're not rooted in truth. And a lot of times people will tell you to take the opposite of what you're feeling and just say, well, just say that instead. That doesn't work, right? But was it true that he was the opening act? Was it true that he warmed up the audience for me? Was it true that all I needed to do was ride the wave? Absolutely. So like within 60 seconds, I'm like putting my shoulders back. Now I'm under the dryer trying to get the sweat dry. but I went from this feeling of feeling so defeated, so unworthy of being there, so petrified, to like, oh my gosh, like I'm about to ride this wave and kill it. And I did. And not only that, but he ended up carrying my materials to my car. And he said, I've seen a lot of Sandler trainers, which is the company I worked for. But I've never seen someone that delivered the way that you delivered. And I got booked for another speaking engagement with that same company.
Wow.
So that is the difference in walking through those 4 steps. I recognize the beliefs that were not going to work. I replaced it with truth, or what we call power beliefs. I rehearsed it, so I said it out loud, and then I reinforced it by showing up that way. Right. And so that's kind of the way that I walk through my clients and helping them shift their mindset by giving them a real framework versus just being like, just think more positive, just say some affirmations, just believe in yourself. That just doesn't work for most people.
Girl, like that was such a great example of, because I've had those kind of experiences as well, where you really have to have that conversation of reality.
A pep talk.
Yeah, because
changing your perspective.
That stuff, our brains we're intelligent people. Yep. So you could try to flip it and stuff, and you know it's not true, you know? So, but when you can have something rooted in actual facts that you are looking at right now, because you're looking at the man being the first one, you know, that's how it works. That is so perfect. I think that's a great way to do it. And I think if we really start looking at our situations with that lens, that could definitely help shift us and boost our confidence in what we're trying to do.
Come through with the shift and the alignment.
Yes.
So I do have another question. So one of our core values that we worked on is faith, right? Okay. So when you talk about the vision board, most people don't think about faith when setting their goals, right? So why do you blend the two?
Yeah, faith is part of who I am, so I cannot not blend the two. A lot of times, even down to my word of the year. My word of the year, I tried one time to pick the word, and I was going to pick. Funny enough, I picked the word bold. So I was like 2 weeks into the year. Hold on, before y'all celebrate.
Okay. She was like, God said that ain't the word. That's it.
Exactly. So it's like 2 weeks into the year, and I'm like, okay, I didn't have a word, and I was like, I know people are going to be posting their word. Like, what's my word? And I was like, my word gonna be bold. And God was like, your word is surrender. And I was like, what? Do I have to start that now? So I had a whole year of just surrendering. So whatever God told me to do, that's what I did. But back to your point about why do I blend the two? I think a lot of times when people ask me about things like law of attraction and stuff like that, law of attraction is nothing more than faith. So I think it's really when you understand who you are, and you understand what is possible, when you understand that you were not designed to struggle, when you were not designed to always be at the bottom of the totem pole, when you realize that what you're capable of, it shifts your perspective. And so for me, I can't help but to blend the two, because that is who I am at my core. And I think for me, there was many times where I had forgot who I was. And actually in my program, Beyond the Board, we do a whole section on mindset. And the first piece is elevating your identity. And I think a lot of times we play ourselves. We are so used to sitting back. We're so used to settling. We are so used to being stuck that we don't even know that we are stuck. That the first thing is like, no, you need to elevate how you see yourself, because how you see yourself determines what you think you are capable of. And so it's just who I am. So I had to blend the two. And honestly, there are times where it's challenging, especially because I have some clients that are corporate, right? And I know how to move in those rooms. But at the end of the day, it's a part of just who I am.
Because it goes back to the question of who are you, right? And if you don't have a grounding of the foundation of who you actually are as a person, you are not your job title. You're not your, I'm not mom. I'm a mom, but that's not who Aries is.
Only thing
Yes, it's like, so my foundation is rooted in God, and purpose that he has designed for who I'm going,
Mm-hmm.
what my story is supposed to be in this world. I have a certain, my chapter is over here. I got my duties that he's given me, and I just need to make sure that I'm aware of what those are so that I can walk them out. And that comes with that vision piece of, okay, that's why we always talk about alignment. Are you in any decision that you're making? Is this in alignment with what your purpose is supposed to be? Like if this is something just random because you just picked it out the sky, some word or whatever it is, it's not gonna manifest itself into what it's supposed to be. So I really love that. And for me, I can't do anything without, I feel like it's like I gotta feel like he is telling me that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So I love that you incorporate.
Because I think you're still waiting on your word, right?
I'm still waiting on my word. And he's working me through the process. He's
revealing it.
Because it's things happening and I'm sitting here like, okay, Lord, you said be open. You said, I just been praying for wisdom and clarity, these last probably 3 weeks since probably the end of December to now. And he's speaking, so I don't know what that word is going to be just yet, but it's like, okay, I'm just sitting here waiting. And whenever he's ready to reveal it, he can reveal it. It's times where I didn't get it to like March, and so I love that. Yes.
I've identified a couple of words. So I'd be interested. How do you feel like you came up with your word of the year? What's your process?
It was really, I don't even try to think about what the word is. It's like a feeling. It's kind of like when I was walking my dog, where it's just like I hear him so clearly. And so I didn't look anything up. It was like your word is amplified. And even when I tried to think about other words, because I knew what amplify meant, but I still looked it up because I like looking at like the dictionary version of it, definition. And there was no other word that was even coming to me. Right. And so I think when I get my word, and it's just a moment of clarity. And anytime that I know it comes from God is just clear and there is peace, and I just run with it. So that is my word. So, and for 2020, I didn't have a word. There was no specific word that he gave me, and I didn't worry about it. I just kept on doing what I was supposed to do. And 2020 turned out well. So one thing I just wanted to mention, though, is that when you know your core values and your vision, back to what you were saying, that decisions become easy, and it creates boundaries. And so even for myself, when I get asked to do something, or I'm thinking about doing something, that becomes the benchmark. Does this get me closer to the vision? Does this get me closer to my goals? Does this align with my values? And if not, it's gonna be a no.
I love
a confident no, because you know that it's not. Somebody be like, "Hey, we need you to come. We want to have this twerk party that we're gonna put on Instagram live." I'll be like, I'm not busting it. I'm not doing the busting.
You're not gonna do the busting challenge.
No, listen. So to that point, my husband, he's like, "I have a way that you could do the bust." I'm like, first of all, I'm hired to speak at a church in a couple weeks. Like, I'm not. Like, I'm creative the way that he spend it, but I was like, I just can't. And no judgment to who does.
Right.
It just doesn't align with the vision for me, right? But I think you need to be crystal clear about that. And I think particularly as women, because we can say yes to a lot of things that we should be saying no to. And on the flip side, we can end up saying no to things that we actually should be saying yes to.
Yeah.
And that's what I think people don't be talking about.
And we're actually going to do a podcast about unsubscribing, right?
Yes.
And so
things we're unsubscribing
to. And so there was a point where I had a year of yes, but then there was a point where I had a year of no, because sometimes you have to say no so you can say yes to the right thing.
Exactly.
Yes. So
okay, so we're getting I feel like we need to be in her class. I know. I'm like, we're getting close to time, so I want to ask just a couple questions, and then you can tell people where we can send them so they can go get all the stuff, and then they can start actually walking this out, because I think you got to have some direction.
Yeah.
There was something that you mentioned in the book about fear being a launch pad, and like, can you elaborate a little bit of that? Because I was like, I feel like I know what she's trying to say, but like, I think it's a good way, because I feel like we get fearful. You get fearful. Yes. It's a natural, feeling, but how you use that energy is really how, what will change what the outcome is going to turn out to be. It's okay to be like, I'm scared, but act anyways. Right. Like, I'm the person who's very adventurous. I'll go out when I travel internationally. I want to do something. Everywhere I go somewhere, I'm like, I want to do something that I would never do. Like, I went parasailing one time, and I'll be like, what am I? I'm stupid. While I'm getting, lined, I'm like, what are you doing? You're crazy. But it's like, I I took this mission of me saying, even though I'm scared of something, I'm not going to allow it to stop me from doing it, because I feel like I'll regret not trying more than the after effect of being like, oh my God, I was just so scared, or whatever. So can you talk a little bit about what you meant by that?
Yeah, so I think there's two things that we've got to learn how to embrace more, and that's fear and failure. And a lot of times we have fear of failure, right?
Yes.
But, I think I don't prescribe to this idea of being fearless. I feel like that puts a whole lot of pressure. And what ends up happening when people hear that is they think that when they're scared, they're doing something wrong. Or they feel like, I'm gonna just wait till I feel more confident because I'm supposed to be fearless. And someone broke it down like this one time. They said it isn't that you don't fear at all. It just means that you learn how to fear less, right? And so it's, how do you feel that fear, that uncertainty, that doubt, and reposition that, or kind of not reposition it, reframe that. So I know that anytime I'm fearful, I'm probably doing something that I need to be doing, and that I'm stretching myself. And so once I feel like I'm too comfortable, like everything is going too smooth for me, I'm like, okay, I'm not challenging myself enough. I'm not doing the things I need to be doing because it's just going too smooth. The other side is really embracing failure. The way that all of us grew up is that I know I couldn't come to my mom's house and be like, oh yeah, mom, I got an F on that test. She was gonna be like, oh, that is not a good thing.
That's true.
But the reality is that the only way that we learn as adults is through failure. And I know a lot of people who are by default sabotaging their success because they're afraid of failing. And they think that on one side you have failure and on the other side you have success, and they feel like they're opposites, when the only way that you're going to be successful is learning how to fail.
Yes.
And so there are so many times where I tell people, you need to learn how to fail on purpose. The reason that you're stuck is that you haven't failed enough. You want to get to expert without ever going through the trials and tribulations of being a beginner. Like the only way you get to an expert by screwing stuff up a whole lot, right? And so I think the more that we learn to recognize the fear and understand what are we actually scared of, because oftentimes the thing that we're scared of is never going to happen. Right. And a lot of times also the thing that we're scared of, if we actually broke it down, are things that we can fix, things that we can actually address. So I think it's one, dialing into the fear. Number two is then learning how to use failure to propel you to the next level. So if you've been scared of failing and you haven't done anything, then by default, you are sabotaging your chance of being successful.
And a lot of times that's what anxiety is, right? It's, you're scared of something that hasn't happened.
Right.
And so you're like, oh my God. I have major anxiety issues. But I had to learn how to manage that, because I'd be like, okay, that ain't even happening. Like this is not, and if it does, what, so some things you kind of just got to pressure it, and be like, okay, and then what? Okay, so then this is going to happen. Like play it. Well, our pastor always says, play the movie forward, right? Yeah. Fast forward it and see. And I do that in multiple scenarios, right? So you'd be like, okay, like if I do this, let me just play that a little bit forward, and then be like, okay. I mean,
I can't do that.
But did you die?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. A lot of times the worst case scenario is not going to happen. And if you ask, in the book I talk about, I think I put like 20 questions that you can ask yourself when you're feeling that fear to help kind of get out of that emotion and back into your headspace. So that's also a lot of times when it comes to procrastination, I tell people the problem is not that you have a time management problem, is that you have an emotional management problem. Procrastination is just a sense that you are scared of something, but we need to define what you're scared of.
And a lot of times it's fear of failing.
Yep.
And they said that, I heard a quote this week at a meeting I was at, and they said about who invented the light bulb? Edison.
Yeah, that's what they say.
So it was a black man who invented the filament that was inside that made it last.
Was it Benjamin Banneker?
And so don't start making up no names. we ain't even gonna do that. But they were just saying like it wasn't that that basically that he didn't look at it like he failed like 10,000 times, right? It was like I just found 10,000 ways that it didn't work. Right. And then finally there was this, a one way that it worked. So I think failure, and like people say, fail fast, and
always say that.
Like that, so you can kind of get through it. So I love that. Okay, We'll be here forever.
Yes.
What?
So before we go to that, let's do our quick call to action. Then we can find out where we can sign up for your program,
Get your
the book, and just how to get started. Like, what's the first step? So I'm listening. I'm taking notes on the side because you're dropping them. Okay. I would say create your roadmap. Right. Your roadmap is your vision. Right. Make sure you have a mindset shift because we need to get in the appropriate mindset. What is that? What are your beliefs? What are your behaviors you're going to do to change your mindset? And also be okay with failing, right? Not fearless, but fearless, right?
Correct.
And then my last one is go start creating your vision board. Would you add anything else?
And I think you captured it. Yeah, I don't want to start us all over again.
We'll be going all over.
Yeah,
well, then y'all can. Well, here's another call to action. Go get her book. Go sign up for Beyond the Board or whatever things she has going on, because then she can help walk you through that.
Purchase
process.
the book.
Yes. Now, does the book talk about vision boards and stuff in it?
A little bit. It really talks more about the 4 areas that you need to focus on, which are clarity, planning, execution, and mindset. So what I would do is I did a vision board masterclass a few weeks ago. And so they can watch the replays. They can go to my website and they'll see the link at the top for that. And then Beyond the Board is really saying, now that you have your vision board, how do you actually execute it? So the vision board masterclass is putting the board together. Beyond the Board is how do we go from vision board to reality?
So go to her website, awomanwithvision.com, and all these resources that she just talked about, you can get them there. You are at A Woman with Vision on
Instagram,
on social media.
Yes.
Right?
Correct.
All right, cool. So go follow her.
And where can they get the book?
At her website.
Okay. Yeah, they can get on my website or on Amazon, barnesandnoble.com, booksamillion.com.
Wherever, books are sold.
Okay. Books are sold.
All right. Well, we thank you so much for being a part of our podcast. This is right in alignment with what we want to share with our listeners to empower them to make sure that we're not just putting pictures on the vision board, that we are actually trying to execute these goals that God has given us and put in our hearts. So thank you so much. And we're going to stay connected because I need to work on my vision board.
Thank y'all for having me on.
All right.
Thank you for being our guest.